Oké.
Ja.
Nee, welke melding?
Even. En opnieuw. Yes. Mensen, ik zal het nog mijn telefoon bijhouden als er vragen zijn. Welkom, welkom. Eens even kijken. Yes, yes. Oh. Ja, die bent er weer. Het zegt dat hij live is gegaan. Dus laten we zien.
Yeah, I think we're live.
Ja.
I just got the message.
Op YouTube. Ja, nou begint. Yay. Hallo, hallo.
The floor is yours.
Maar op YouTube zelf is het vaak later pas. En ik moet ook mijn eigen op stil zetten. Oh, nou. So, welcome, everybody. I have to start in English again. So, that's why I do almost everything in English. Is that I can reach as many people as possible from different countries. So that's why we both Dutch, but I'm gonna talk in English so we reach everybody. And welcome to another episode of Real Talks. And today we're going to talking about taking back control over your mind. We're going to be talking about the mind control / brainwashing of society and how that is we're going to be talking about several themes about that. And in the end, we also want to give you solutions or what you can do to take back your own control over your mind, what you can do. So we'll also give you some tips and solutions for for your mindset, changing your mindset. And that is also something that's really important. And so we're going to be talking about some things. And one of the biggest things that I want to start about is it's really once you wake up, have your spiritual awakening, you find out how much they lied about everything. Everybody. All right, everything. And it's really crazy to really fathom that. And they call it the lie vision, whether you get programmed and that you have a certain mindset, to always believe because if the television says it, and when the newspaper says it, and when the doctor says it, and when the priest says it, and when your parent says it, you almost can't question that.
Why do you think that is?
Because they already do that in schools. They make you and also with religions, they make you obey, and they say what is the truth, and then they don't want you to question that and think for yourself. Because they want you to believe in that, the construct, the illusion, they created.
Isn't it so that they essentially teach you to search for authority and truth outside of yourself? By from childhood on, putting some guy or someone in front of the classroom, and that's the authority that you should depend on. And because a lot of people think it's the curriculum, it's what's inside the books. Isn't it more that that you're being taught that you have always an authority outside of yourself, and then once you become an adult, you see people constantly looking for these authorities. If I don't know it spiritually, I go to the priest, as you said. If I don't know it medically, I go to the doctor. Political, I go to the politicians. But everything that you experience actually happens to you. So actually, you should trust yourself as an authority in this life. That's at least my opinion about it.
Yeah, and I think we're completely lost. Or once you have when you have that awakening, it's really your whole world comes apart, and you're what is this? And you have to really find your place again, and what does it mean for me? And find yourself again. It's a really deep process where people mostly all by themselves go through.
Yeah, it's almost like your whole basic, your foundation is being swept away from under your feet. Everything that you used to believe in turns out either not to be true or a lie. So that's, I think, why we also see a lot of cognitive dissonance. It's where your brain starts to tell you lies just to keep the scaffolding and the house of cards to keep it up.
But it's really strange. Like it's like once one lie comes out and then everything goes down. And I also understand people, they want to keep that in place because their whole life view and like how they live is like, it's totally different. But it's also difficult if you can't trust almost nobody. Like everybody out there, like especially whatever is on television, like it's like I feel so strange. Like they put those celebrities so high up, and it's like that to glorify like role models that really not have the best intentions sometimes.
Yeah, I think that also starts. Doesn't that also start at a young age, where you're being taught to look up to idols like the singers, athletes, and stuff like that? Start to identify with that. And then the more you identify with these things, the more your ego attaches to it. And then you got a problem, because then when you start to break down the lies which are attached to these ideas, your ego will always defend it, because there is some security found in there. I think that's what we're seeing all over the place. So if I can get somebody to identify with his country or with his religion, or with his football club for that matter, you say something negative about your religion or your country, well, you can see somebody getting angry or sad, or there is all these emotions attached to what is actually just an idea. It's not even reality. Well, it's real for these people, but it's not actual reality.
Yeah, and that's why I find it so beautiful when you have like an open mind. Someone can have a different perspective, but you don't have to. We can still be respectful, and we can still love each other. But when you're so much in the ego, when you're like, it's like your whole world like this, you can't.
It kind of takes over, huh? It's like, I think Eckhart Tolle always describes that really well. It's like an addiction going into remission, and it tries to, when you start to see the workings of that ego, it starts to defend itself. It starts to hook on onto all kinds of things. I think a lot of people know what we mean with spiritual ego. You finally found some insight, and now you're better than other people because now you have this insight. And that's again the ego latching onto it, and you're back to square one almost. But I think it's all at the identification and attachment to these ideas.
And also with that spiritual ego, with like so many spiritual gurus, and it's like it's still outside. If they say like, think like I'm the one who gives you the all the information, and you have to believe me. And I always believed anyway. I got like golden nuggets from this person, that I never glorified one person, and then you see that a lot of times. And it's still to be about you getting
just
back.
Follow me.
Yeah, follow me. I know the word.
But they hook on to the same thing that we actually started to talk about, is that conditioning from childhood on to look for authority outside of yourself, the so-called teacher. And once you're an adult and you realize that nobody really knows what we're doing here, because they kind of took our history and stuff like that. So if you don't have a decent foundation, you'll follow anybody with a good idea and a firm voice, and who knows what he's talking about. I think we see that happening all over the place. Be it politician or some guru or some, you see all these new age people saying, hey, I know the secret, you name it. And nobody, I don't think many people actually know what they're doing. And even then, I mean, what works for me, what works for you? If I would follow you step by step, what made you aware or give some insight, it doesn't mean I get the same insight. I shouldn't be following anybody's steps. You need to look for yourself what is true for you, I guess.
Yeah, but this like, but I also understand it, because like people are looking for that. Like I also found by doing certain spiritual teachings, and exercises and stuff, I found myself within. So that is like I used it as tools. So that is really something that helped me to understand life a bit more, but also to have like some tools to hang on to in certain times. And it can help people, but it always has to bring you back closer to yourself, and that is like the most important.
It's interesting what you said. You found yourself here within, right? That we're being taught to look for everything out there. I mean, that's science. Science is the science of the thing that we can touch and the thing that we can see and the thing that we can measure. And I always thought, once I realized this authority thing, then it becomes a real obscene thing that you go to some psychiatrist or a psychologist and ask them, hey, help me find myself. How would that person know how to find you? You're inside. I once saw somebody, I forgot his name, it doesn't even matter, but who actually taught me like how to look at these things. And when you ask somebody, where do you see me? They will always point at you. I say, see you there. Where do you hear me? Oh, you're coming from there. But it's actually very factual that we don't see each other. We see light bouncing off each other. And that comes into our retina, through our lens on our retina, upside down actually. And then inside it gets painted into some picture, some movie. And sound is the same thing. It's like it's vibration coming into your ear. And inside, we interpret this as a voice, as some music, as the sound. Touch is actually the same thing. It's all happening inside. So it's very strange that knowing all these things, that we're all being taught to look outside for this meaning, which is all found in here. And I think we already discussed in a former podcast that inside you, if you look inside, we're all the same, because my pain is your pain, my love is the same as your love. It's just what the mind paints from it. That's what makes the difference. But the essential feeling, the psychological awareness of this, is the same for every person.
Yeah, but I feel like because of like society, the busyness, the distractions, all people, like it's really difficult to go back to yourself, just like to relax and to feel yourself. And that is
just
like
don't have time.
there's so many distractions. Like they say, like give in Rome, give them plates and bread and feed them all sorts of things, and then they don't
bread and games.
They don't wake up. They don't see what's actually happening.
Yeah, that's true. I think whole society is one big distraction. We're all tickling our senses. It's all entertainment these days.
And consume.
Yeah, when if it's not a problem that you need to solve, it's some entertainment where you're going outside of yourself. So it's all distractions from being in the here and the now with yourself. So it's very hard to stay there even with people like who are being more aware than most. Try to stay in the now for the whole day. Wow, it's a good exercise, but it's very hard to do because we're all being conditioned to. The moment you see something, you start to describe it, you get an opinion, and then you know, oh, I'm in my head again. So it's very difficult to keep your attention. It's all about this attention span in the now. Before you know it, you're already analyzing, and you're back in your mind again. It's a big handicap.
That's why this is also not even like the thing that we share with others, and not only like what we learn from each other, but also really beautiful exercise to really, because we're co-creating, you're talking and then like and I'm talking and something new comes up. So also just being very aware what you're saying, and then like whatever comes up comes up. So because if otherwise I would already be thinking in my head like, oh, what's gonna come, what I'm gonna say next and stuff. But this is a really good exercise as well.
Yeah. Well, actually, a lot of people communicate like that. They don't really listen to what you are saying. They hear something, and then it triggers one of their own stories, and they're just waiting for their turn to start talking about their own story. Well, I think in communication, if you have a dialogue, I think we discussed this once before, right? That by listening, that's actually where the learning takes place. If they have a discussion, nobody learns nothing. And learning is already skewed because most people think learning is copying all other knowledge, all second-hand knowledge, actually, if you look at it. But nobody really looks at something and observes something and learns by doing that.
But I feel like I had like, because I worked with lots of clients, I needed to shut my mouth and be there, like hold space.
Yeah.
And then I could really like put my own mind to rest. So that was always a good exercise. And I still have that with people, but it's like, it's still really interesting to really be really here, and to really like not be in the past, not be in the future, or what's next, or like what comes before. And it's a constant, like that is also with meditation, it's a constant coming back, coming back, coming back.
It's a constant movement in time. Yeah. But once you can do it, some people call it flow, some people call it in the zone. It's the most amazing feeling that you can have, because it's being alive.
Yeah, and that's why we always want to share, because we feel that and we want to share that. Like, this is possible for you as well. To feel that. Like, I have so much like love, like I feel so much love and inspiration and creativity, and I can keep like creating new things. And like, that is like, if you're like what you said, like in the zone, then it's like life is totally like different. And that is like when you live from a totally different like perspective. And I also understand it's like not easy with like modern day society, like what is asked of you.
Yeah, true. I was with some friends this weekend, and I was also pointing some of these ideas at them, and they're like, yeah, well, we don't even have time for this. We barely have time to be aware of our own foods and then to prepare them. And they both work like 50-hour jobs and have to drive a lot around the country. And then, then you realize that's what you just also pointed at. It's that like that for most people. We're being kept busy most of the time. So by the time you realize what's going on, you're usually already on your pension. Or you're being lived. Yeah, like most of the time. It's like what Marley used to call the rat race. And nobody told you when to run. You missed the starting gun. That's the lyric of Pink Floyd. They sing the song Time.
But it's also there's also so much things going on that you think like, should I be like it's also not easy, like, because there's so much things going on that are really like not so good in this world, huh? Like
are there?
Yeah, no,
Isn't
that is like, that's your perception, huh? Like you're saying, oh, people are dying, but then like people are dying every day. So it's also like your perception shifts, and it's
So isn't
almost
that
like
all? Isn't that all distraction? This news and this so-called entertainment. It's all distracting you from where life is really happening, which is around you.
Yeah, that's why it's like interesting, like what is going on. Like, yeah, I care so much, so I have to share that. But on the other hand, like, no, I want to be just here and what's happening in my life. Because like you said, it's still a distraction. But on the other side, like, hey, things are happening and it's maybe good to speak out about certain things. So I think also you need to find like you pick your battles or something. Like because if you would like worry or like things come up like everything, like you would be all the time like, because you don't want to be whatever comes on from the outside, you don't want to be emotional too involved, but on the other side, feeling everything is also part of life as well. So it's an interesting,
of course, but we're not meant to see the suffering of the whole world, because we have no influence on that. And these days everybody sees the suffering of the whole world. Take for instance the Palestine thing. I mean, it's very obvious that's inhuman what's happening there. So we see all these images, which are horrible, but you have no control over it. So that does something really creepy to your mind, because you get into some state, and it does a lot of things to your endocrine system, but you have no control over it. And it makes you passive in your own life, because that feeling of no control gets projected into your own life, where you actually have control. That's the crazy thing. So and the more you start to realize that, well, then your perception actually shifts to your own life, because that's the only thing where you really have the influence. And it doesn't mean I don't have compassion for these things, but I don't need to see it all day or every day. And if I actually care for it, then people would call me crazy, basically. Then you would jump in your car and drive there and go help them. That's how you show how you care. And you can be solid. You can show your solidarity and show your politicians like, hey, do what we take a different route in this. Of course, that's how you can also take action. But mainly, yeah, we're not even meant to see these things. I think the only thing that you're meant to see is like 100 people around you in your life, in your community. That's basically how we're wired. And anything above that, it only makes you more confused about things, and it gives you more feelings of helplessness and not being in control of your life. And, yeah, and then if you feel like that, you turn to the entertainment and all the distractions that society is giving you. Then you're in a circle. Then you're actually in your own rat race. How do you call this tumble wheel where we put some mouse in, it keeps running and keeps running, but it goes nowhere. I think a lot of us are in that position.
Yeah, but I also think like everybody has different walls. Like there's a reason. I feel also there's some inspiration coming from inside, and I need to share about certain things because I feel like I need to let people hear a different voice, a different perspective, and it comes from inside me. And I still like, even though you care, but you're like less like attached to it.
Yeah, that would be hard for me because I care so I cannot turn off my caring. A lot of people do that, I know, but I don't see why I would do that. I see myself as part of humanity. There is no dotted line where the me stops and where humanity begins. You are humanity. And it's somehow people don't make that connection. They say humanity is out there, and I have no influence on that. You actually have, because you're part of humanity. There is nothing separating you or me from humanity. The moment you really realize that, you cannot even harm another human being, basically, because you're hurting yourself. You're hurting humanity. But we've been conditioned to think in all these fragmentations of what is basically one. I mean, we have made these countries. Well, there is no countries. There is only one Earth. There are just some angry Europeans telling people like, hey, now left side is Morocco and the other side is Algeria. But nobody asked people over there. There is one humanity. There is only one race. I mean, people are talking white and black and getting put all these ideas in their head. There is no white. I've never seen a white person. I've never seen a black person. They're all different shades of brown. And you can go on and on with this because we keep fragmenting ourselves until the end of time. I mean, within religion, then within religion, we have all the fragments within the religion. Christianity is very good at it, but even Muslims have Sunnis and Shiites and Sufis. You see it in Buddhism, you see it in all kinds of religion. Well, religion's purpose would be to make humanity one. That's actually what the love means. That's what the holiness means. Holiness also means whole, as in one. People don't even realize that's actually the meaning of the word. But we keep fragmenting until the end of time. And I think until we find a way to stop doing that, there will be conflicts all over the place, because if you cut something in two that's supposed to be one, that's by definition already a conflict. We see it all over the place. That's sad, really.
Yeah. And because because I think if we all unite, we could make it such a different place, and we could all come together. But it's like we all need to I think it's coming anyway. Like more people understanding.
Of course, there is more awareness. It's all about awareness. Are you aware of how these things work? And more people are becoming aware, which is an amazing thing, because nobody's teaching you this. There are almost no books about it. It comes from within. You look around you and you question things and you're like, well, And it's obviously growing. I mean, more and more people are becoming more and more aware about what we're doing. Only there, you also need to be aware of your own conditioning, because a lot of people see a few truths and they start to hold on to that, and it becomes static again, and then they start to push this, and it becomes an idea again, and they push this idea on other people. Well, the truth is not a static thing; it's a live thing. It's constantly moving. There is no one path to the truth. It's a constant movement, constantly questioning, constantly looking, constant observing, using your intelligence to deal with it instead of leaning on the knowledge. And that's where the conditioning comes in. We're being conditioned to look at the world from knowledge, and it paints our perspective, because you have to put some knowledge in somebody's head to look at somebody as a whitey or as a blackie or as a yellow guy. No, they're all humans. If you put children together, they don't even see the color. I'm coming from an age where I've never seen color. Today I talked to an old friend of mine. He's from my same age. He's like, they had to tell me about these race thing. I always see these as my friends. There is no color for me. And then, Lord and behold, 20 years later, they took it out of the head again, and now everybody believes in color and segregation again. It's crazy. You know, I believe that the only way that you can do it is if you condition people to look at the world from your mind instead of from your heart, from your intelligence, from the zone, or from that state of being that we just talked about, which everybody is pulled out of. We used to have the entertainment, but now everybody has his own phone. It's like a black abyss which pulls your attention into nowhere, which is very sad, because I think we already discussed this before. The more you put your attention onto something, the more I put my attention in this conversation, the more real it is. And you can feel that. Both sides can feel that. The more attention you put into sculpting or making something, the more beautiful it becomes. But these days we're partly here and partly there and partly doing such and partly doing so. Actually, we're nowhere. And you see it in the fruits of our labor. It's getting more and more shallow, I would say. It's a very shallow thing that we're doing as a humanity these days, these expressions. And we're so deep. So why should we express ourselves in such a shallow way? That's basically how I look at it most of the time. I'm ranting.
But that's why it's so, especially when people wake up and when they have like, they also can't have like shallow conversations anymore, because it's like you can only meet someone else where you are as well, like and then you feel like you can only show a certain part of yourself, like it's like not your full color, like, and then you feel like almost trapped. And that's why you also want to, I also understand like why you want to be with as much as possible like-minded people. And that's also like,
sorry that I interrupt you. I wouldn't even say like-minded people. I would say open-minded people, because we don't really have to agree to get along. But the moment I'm looking for like-minded people, everybody outside of this like-minded thing that I created for myself will be discarded. See how quickly that goes. This weird mind thing that we do, and ostracizing people.
But it's indeed open-minded, and that's what I said also before. You have to be open to that the truth that you think it is the truth is not always your truth. Even if you did a lot of research, even if you did a lot of inner work, still your truth doesn't necessarily be the truth. And all of the things that you find out, there's always, like what you said, new things to explore, and
there's layers. Yes. And look at it from yourself. What you thought was true 10 years ago. A lot of these things, you found out new things and got new information, and now the truth has evolved into some different truth. So this truth is always a moving thing. It should be, at least.
But yeah, you find out some things that they definitely lied about. So it's like there's like the truth out there, but also like different truth from different perspectives. So it's also interesting to see that like there's a difference between like there's things that is like that's like I definitely lied about this. Like this is like really crazy. Yeah, we talked about that in going down the rabbit hole, our first talk. Some things. So there's some things that we can like agree on, but there's also some like different perspective. Like you like that story about the elephant and the 6 and the 9. Like it's the 6 and the other person's the 9. It's like
it's a matter of perspective.
We come from so different realities, so different upbringing, so different things that we saw. We have such a different background. So everybody is such a different universe on itself. And that is already really interesting to discover.
Yeah, and then it wouldn't be a problem if you would just use the art of listening, where you listen to what a person is trying to say instead of just to the words. I mean, the words are not a thing. The moment I say this is a tree and you say it's a plant, probably both right. But the moment we start arguing about it, nobody wins.
Yeah, so, and that is also what really interesting is, like, you see also a lot of division. They create so much division also between men and women as well. And that's why it's like, think it's also relationships. It's like, it's not easy. And then they also trigger you the most.
Yeah.
And then you think like, oh, that person hurt me. But it's like lots of times your own trauma and how you perceive things and how you hear things. So that is really interesting sometimes. But it's also a really beautiful mirror to find out, like, what is the truth and what is my truth.
Yeah, so you have the subjective truth and the objective truth, as philosophers always say. We should touch on many different things, because what's also interesting is that part where what is actually being heard. I mean, somebody calls me a dick. I know I'm not a dick. Why should I be heard? What is actually being heard? Isn't it a self-image that's being heard? I mean, I have a nice image about myself. I'm Guillaume, and I do this, and I'm good at that, and I'm bad at such. And somebody calls me something, and I identify. The moment I identify with this picture, and somebody attacks the picture saying, "Hey, Guillaume, you're a dick," then my ego, that's the attachment again that I explained earlier. Then the ego gets angry and starts, "Hey, I'm not a dick, you're a dick." Or I get sad, "I'm not a dick. Why do you call me a dick?" But it's crazy, basically, because if I'm secure in myself, yeah, maybe the question would pop up, why do you think so? Or can we talk about this? So these emotions, that are usually because of the attachment, and we don't even realize it. I mean, why should I care what your opinion is about me? I mean, it tells you more about you than about me. If I know myself, that's where we're coming to the root. If I know myself, then what should faze me? But people are, we are being made confused. Most people don't even know who they are most of the time. We identify with all these pop stars and these whatevers, but nobody identifies with themselves. And you see the native people, you see it a lot. They got their own totem animal, and I'm running bear, and you're flying horse, and it's not even a competition.
For me, it's like really like you have to look a certain way. And you see now more and more like people, like, they look all the same, like, and they do the makeup and the lips like big, and it's like you don't even like, and I'm like, you don't even recognize them as a like individual being anymore. And I'm like,
no, isn't that all? But isn't that all insecurity?
Yeah, but it's also
hiding myself behind some facades.
Yeah. And that's also what society puts on you. Like, you have that much, like, people have a lot of self-doubt, self-criticism. They think they're not good enough, or they don't look as well as those person. And there's a lot of, that's also coming from society, like almost like projecting that you're not good as you are.
In that sense, we're also confused as a whole, I guess. I mean, we have all the knowledge, how to create good, like stable human beings, healthy, stable human beings. We have a lot of people knowing more about this than you and me together. We have some Peterson guy, or we have Gabor Mate, who does a lot of things about trauma. We know how to raise children. This knowledge is there. Me, myself, I also did psychology as a major. And then you get a lot of knowledge, and I ask myself, why isn't this knowledge about emotions and how to deal with other people, why isn't this taught at kindergarten, for instance? The knowledge is there, but apparently you need to figure that out for yourself. And if you don't do it in the right way, you come in mental health care facilities, or even in detention sometimes, because you just didn't figure out how this social game is working. But nobody is really getting taught. You need to have coming from a nice family, or some teacher that picks up on it and tells you. But it's like Russian roulette. And
also,
I think that's the craziest thing, that we have all this knowledge how to raise people the right way, but society isn't really made for that.
Then it's not made for you to think for yourself and to do what you like to do.
Obviously not.
You have to do what they've told and what they need you to do. And it's also with prisons. Like in one country, you don't get in prison if you just like
you got different rules for different countries, of course.
Yeah, you have like one country, you have like you deal with weed and you get into the prison for I don't know how long. In the other country, it's legal. And even like in America, you can get already in prison if you don't pay your child alimony.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many people are just like in prison just because they can't pay that. And it's like really like you cut out a lot of like society, but you also there's other reasons for that, because like even free labor, the other people they're like they think like they're getting paid and they have like they're free. And then these are not free, but actually the people that are working from 9 to 5 are also not fully free, and people are not even aware of that, and like it's like more and more. It's like this whole thing is like a prison like thing, like school prison.
What do you think is the real prison there? Society, or is it your mind creating that prison?
Yeah, because you can change your mind and free yourself. And that is what we really want to talk about also. Like, how can you free yourself?
What would be the root? So what would be the root? Changing society or changing yourself? You already say it's changing myself.
Yeah, it starts with the inside.
But then, so that just first we have to look at ourselves. Why am I doing this? Why am I thinking even instead of doing? Acting with intelligence in the now. That's basically what we are able to do. If you do sports or make music, nobody is thinking about what they're doing, because the moment you think, you're behind, you're in the zone, you act. So this whole approach of putting people into their heads and making them problem solvers, that's actually, in my opinion, no, it's not even opinion, in my observation, that's the root cause of all these problems. I think the only way that we can program people, like this Harari always is so proud to talk about, with the free will that's over, the only way that you can do that is if you put people into their mind from childhood on. If people are constantly aware in the now, you see these things coming from a mile away. If you're constantly very consciously aware. But first you need to make people like problem solvers and looking at the world from their mind, and then you can program this subconsciousness with images and with the tele vision and the radio and the books. I think that's where it started basically, with stories, and these stories become memories, and the moment you're not fully aware in the now, your subconsciousness takes over. And that's what you see happening all over the place. And I think a lot of these people, these robot-like people who cannot even make a normal human conversation with, I think they're running on subconsciousness all the time. There's only when you punch them in the face, or when they stub their toe somewhere, or they're in a car accident, and they're suddenly awake and aware. And where have they been all the time? Where are these people?
Start questioning their reality. So a lot of times something needs to happen. For me, it was like a burnout. For other people, it needs to be a sickness or death from someone in the family, or like something, or your own sickness. Sometimes like then you start questioning your own reality. But
that helps to getting out of it, you mean?
Yeah. They start with that. And I really want to like go to some things like what people really can do to like start questioning, start researching, start finding things out.
What can you do without being a professor or a philosopher of all these authorities? What can just a normal human being do, like you and me?
Yeah, like going inwards, really feeling and connecting with your heart, connecting with your soul, connecting what is there inside, like going inside, connecting with yourself, like meditating, taking more time for yourself, like to really understand what is there. And sometimes it also helps like to journal, to see what is going on there. Like a lot of people have no clue what's going on in their like subconscious or what's going deeper from their heart.
And with the journal, you can see the patterns in your own behavior.
Yeah, because sometimes you write things down and you're like, oh, I didn't even know that was like what I was feeling. Like for me, it like helped a lot to really find out like what I was actually feeling. And because I think like a lot of people, like the feeling and the emotions, I couldn't always express them or feel them. So because I didn't know how to express that or like come into it. Like
so how do you learn such a thing?
So to let everything be as it is, like to really feel it, and it's not easy in the beginning. And it gets
your mind
easier.
has all kind of opinions about it. I would call it observe yourself in silence, and also your thoughts. But that's already one bridge too far for a lot of people. They don't even realize that they can observe their own thoughts. And once I saw a phrase one time: "Who's the one? If you can observe your thoughts, who's the one observing?" I mean, a lot of people identify with their thought process. When we're talking the thought process, the voice in your head that everybody knows. What's actually talking there? Is that me?
Yeah, and also you become more the observer. But what is behind that even? It's like
that's a whole different that's a whole different ballgame. But we're talking about people coming from they're stuck in this way of thinking. They're stuck in the matrix. So where do you start? I would say try to observe these thoughts and see that it's just a train, and that you don't even need to. You will probably see that it will go on by itself. And you don't even need to listen to it. Sometimes it says go left, and then you can go right. And so I'm not. I would say I'm not even this thought process. It's a part of me, but it's not me.
Yeah, but we think this is us, what is coming by.
Yeah.
But we don't even know what that is.
That's the paradox.
It can be conditioning, like the criticism, conditioning, self-doubt. Like everybody has these thoughts, and they think they're real.
Yeah, well, they are real, but where do they come from?
But it's also interesting, like they're real, but also how much can you put into that? How much like do you let those thoughts rule your life?
Well, that's it. The moment I'm not conscious about these thought processes, I will just follow them and say, "Oh, that's me. Go left, go this, take this, buy that." But the moment I realize I can observe it and I can make different choices, I don't need to listen to it. Then I think the more you do that, I think the more room starts. You create. It's like a muscle. You need to train. The more room becomes between your thought process and your own awareness, your attention. Basically, I think we are the attention and not the thought process. But that's a totally different conversation, maybe.
And that's why meditation is so good, because by doing that, they always say like, let go of your thoughts. No, observe them.
The moment I say to myself, let go of my thoughts, that is the thought process.
Yeah, but they always say that, like, let go.
But seriously, look at that. Look at that. The moment I say to myself, I go sit here, I put my hands like so, I concentrate on my breathing. That's all the thought process. I cannot think. Yeah, that's me talking to me. That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's why it's so.
You think that's the way?
No, but they say that. But what it is to observe them for what there is. And like what you see, like the more you're aware in the moment when they come up, you can let them. You have a choice. You can let them be with this.
Just let it be.
And you also you can just let it be, but you can also reprogram yourself. Like, no, this is not true. Like
but go slower. Go slower.
Yeah.
We're talking meditation. Is meditation telling myself don't think, or is meditation putting my full attention in the now and just observe everything that's happening?
But I also, with meditation, first all the things come by what you need to do and the whole grocery stuff comes by.
That's a system.
Yeah, but the more longer you do, I feel like that I have like other ideas coming by, like more creative ideas, more
True.
like inspiration comes through.
But it's still thinking.
Yeah, but it's like different thoughts coming by.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you don't need to follow the same train anymore. That's already a start. But I'm already going one step further, like by saying, the moment I put my full attention somewhere, and it's not even sitting in meditation, it's also with a sunset or some nice mountain with a mountain range with the clouds and everything. And if you put your full attention there, is there room for thinking there? And the moment you're there, isn't that real meditation?
Yeah, that's, I feel also, because that is also when you're like cooking or eating, like a lot of people.
Your whole attention is there. That's even when you're cooking. That's also a good example. That's meditation.
Because especially when cooking, the moment I'm not there, I cut my finger, then the universe says,
exactly.
so, yeah.
And then it pulls you right back into the now.
It's like, oh, not do that anymore.
Exactly.
So, and also with eating, like a lot of people are in their minds instead of like, oh, what's going to tomorrow, and they fully really taste the food. And when you really taste the food, how much more delicious it tastes.
Yeah, that's what they call mindfulness these days. Huh? It always makes me laugh, because actually what you're looking for is mind emptiness. But okay.
Yeah, but that is just being fully immersed with what you're doing. So you can, you don't have to meditate, meditating, but you can do that anywhere, wherever you.
Yeah, constantly. If you put your full attention into what you're doing all of the time, but it's difficult.
Yeah, and
I don't think many people can do it for the whole day. You can do it for a few minutes, a few seconds, and then we're already distracted.
But I had that also in the past at my work. Like I had like so many things at the same time happening, but then I'm like, oh, I just take this thing first and do this first. And I think that is also what people have like problem with like so many chaotic and distraction. They do all the things at the same time.
Yeah, and actually you're doing nothing.
Yeah, so that's why focus is so important.
Well, it's of course it's easy to do when you're just walking the stairs or just have to cut the same thing all day, like in the factory. Then it doesn't really matter. But actually, the example that you just gave, and I'm doing my cooking and I'm cutting some leaves and I'm not paying attention, thinking about something else. I cut my finger off. I actually did that last week.
I 2 weeks ago I also did that. That's quite bad even.
So yeah. That's a good warning sign from the universe telling you like, hey, you should be here. I'm not up there somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's it's all about just being immersed in where you are and being.
Yes.
But I also feel like.
And that's also I think the biggest solution to our main subject, taking back your own control. That's what you can control. You can constantly try to keep your attention with yourself, and you can train that. The more you do it, the more easy it becomes.
Yeah,
and the more you are, the less influence this matrix has. Let's call it this matrix.
Yeah.
The less influence it has on you, because you're aware of it, and then you can make a choice.
And you can control like what you can control once you where you focus on, what your thoughts, what you want to do, what you you can take back so much more, like how you react instead of like reacting like more in response, like instead of like automatically react, you can choose like
the automatic is the programming.
Yeah. And a lot of times we have from the ego first. From the ego, we have those flight, freeze.
Yeah, it gets triggered by these thoughts.
Yeah, so you can also like observe that more and just feel what needs to be felt instead of like react immediately. You can respond, and you have a choice in that. And sometimes it still happens, but then you learn from it. Like, how can I deal with it better next time? And there's also learning in that. And that's also really interesting.
Yeah, I think it leans on the same thing. It's also the awareness of these things. Only if it are things that are special to us, or it's sometimes it's even trauma based, and then we start to identify with it, and then we say, oh, I get triggered. You're making me angry. Well, I'm doing nothing. If I had a remote control of your feelings, why don't I say to happy or There are many happy feelings that I would give you, but then suddenly this remote control doesn't seem to work for a lot of people.
Yeah,
so
but
it's actually a trigger. It's a memory that gives you that has these feelings attached to it, and it gets projected on the now, and then you think that this feeling has something to do with the now. No, it tells you something that's stored in your body that's from the past, and it deserves your attention. And I think for a long time this was just information for me that some people would have told me, but I've experienced a while ago that I was always also had this thing of pushing bad emotions, sadness and stuff away. But the moment I consciously took the effort to face it and to go through the grief of losing somebody you love, that's where the liberation is at. That's actually where these triggers go away. They actually dissolve. It's very crazy because some of these things are actually within you like for 20, 30 years, maybe your whole lifetime. For me it was. And just by consciously looking at this emotion and go through the emotion and crying about it or being angry about it or whatever emotion that you're suppressing, that's where the liberation is at. That's where the freedom is at. But don't analyze it. Just go through it. It needs to be seen. It needs to be felt. It doesn't need to be analyzed. That was Freud's method, and didn't really help a lot of people, I think.
Yeah,
it just gives relief for some time, but it doesn't really resolve anything.
Yeah, but I think that is also different. Like there's also that's a whole different thing that we can talk about, like what you said, psychology, that all
It's
those
all connected.
things.
Yeah.
That is also like there's so much things in there that people think, oh, I am this.
Yeah.
Well, this may be like a part of you, maybe, but like they put people in hokjes, like oh, you are
squares.
this, like,
Yes.
like with the DSM-4, like,
Yeah.
oh, this person.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean the labels from?
All those labels,
yeah.
all those labels, but also like even with HD, HED and stuff, those things, they put labels on children. But well, maybe there's children with a lot of energy that want to play.
Yeah.
Or this like instead of like sitting all day.
I think the word psychology triggered you to go there, of course. Yeah. Well, let's take a side road because most of it was back to the conditioning, but I don't think a lot of these labels are really disorders. I mean, I think the real disorders is if you can put your own feelings into a bucket and just conform yourself to what society asks for you, this 9-to-5 mentality and so on. And what I've seen in my profession is that most of the people, I will not say all of them, some people are really disturbed, but most people are just so sensitive to themselves that they cannot conform themselves to what society asks of them, and that gives them the trouble. And instead of making these people, giving them a stronger foundation and letting them develop themselves, we suppress the symptoms with medication. ADHD is a very good example of it. We give them some amphetamine, basically, and that is supposed to heal them. No, it's not healing them. It's making the problem even worse because you're suppressing the symptoms, and the symptoms are not even real symptoms. This guy just has a lot of energy, and his mind is wired differently. So he will be a perfect fighter pilot for 2 hours a week, for instance, or a rocket pilot. Let's not make it into a war thing. But you don't need to. You shouldn't let these people go from 9 to 5. They will burn out in a few days, and then they need to reload for a few months, for a few weeks. We all know this. And basically, I would even say, I once read a report from a psychologist. I forgot his name, but I could probably look it up if people want me to. And he would say that ADHD is actually the brain that's wired for hunter-gatherer, where you need to have your full attention on everything, and all the details matter, because am I going to run for the bear or am I going to run from the bear? Like so. This conformation that's something that we haven't been doing for such a long time, a few thousand years maybe, where we make villages and cities, and now we need to put our own identity aside to adhere to the group, and not to be ostracized. So actually, that's the younger behavior, and I would say suppressing yourself, suppressing your emotions, your intuitions, and all these things. I would call that the disorder. Yeah, who am I?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's still, I think this will also just help, because I saw like yesterday a post of someone really saying like, I am this and I'm this and this, and like, no, maybe not. And
what do you
that's
identify
why
with?
yeah,
That's the crazy thing. Some people even identify with the label, say, I am ADHD. Well, I'm not flu. I have the flu.
Yeah, and that is also important to make that differentiation in that, and that you are much more than you ever thought you were. Like we are so much more than when we've been taught, and what our capabilities are also much more than we've been taught. And that is like you can really like redirect things, and that also like you can change. Like you can like change and like, and that's what's really also important. I feel like self-love and like self-caring for yourself, and starting to say nicer things to yourself. And like sometimes I think also you need to go through a moment to like reprogram yourself and do affirmations. Like I am like saying good things to yourself. So
you're actually hacking your own subconsciousness.
Yeah, because we're going the other way. Like with affirmations, it's really good. Like I love myself, and I'm good as I am, and that kind of thing can really help people to reprogram themselves, and then later
that's a good
you
start.
see yourself.
Yeah, that's a good start, I guess. But I still believe that you have that word belief. I think I see that the root is really this conditioning, and it's all about this awareness and this attention span. Because the moment I keep my attention here, I don't need to reprogram my subconsciousness, because it has no place. The only place that it actually has is remember things. It needs to remember where my house is at, what is your name, what is my name, how I build a car or whatever, so I can tell you. But because of our upbringing, it's for a lot of people, it's in the driver's seat most of the time, and it's not supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be there all of the time. And that's why I would say it's a good hack, but you're basically hacking your own conditioning. And if we would really go to the end solution, what is the root of this problem? I would say go back to your awareness, go back to your attention, and you will see that this thinking goes more and more to the background. It's not that you have to push it away. Yeah? Some people interpret it like, so I'm not allowed to think. No, thinking has its place. It definitely has its place. But it needs to sit in the background. It's like that crazy guy in the corner of the room. Sometimes it has something useful to say, but most of the time you just need to let him talk. Make up your own decision.
But I think you first have to go to a phase like to reprogramming or coming to yourself with meditation or like body work to feel yourself. Breath work helps, like that kind of thing, really to connect with yourself. Like also,
I'm skipping a part there. True.
Yeah. So I think really first you have to come into that, like come into that and to feel that and to feel yourself and to come back to that and to reprogram yourself. And after a while, when you feel more and more like the answers are coming to you like automatically. Like
when your foundation is more stable, you can start to chip away at the other thing.
Yeah. And then you become more aligned with your intuition, and you know when. And then also becomes a knowing, which they say first you have to believe, or you have to see it to believe it, then you have to believe it, and then you see it. But at one point it becomes a knowing.
So how do we reach these people who have been educated for 15 years? They have all these nice diplomas. And how do you reach those? Because they will approach everything from the mind. And they will say intuition, that doesn't exist. Feelings, nah, that's no place for them. They're only in the way of my goals. How do we reach these people?
Well, it is a bit like it's a choice. Do you all want to keep living life like you always did and it worked for you, or you want to do it differently? It has to come from within, huh? They need to want to come at themselves. They want to change, like maybe do the things differently than you did before. And
that's a difficult one for me.
Yeah, see if that changes. But I want people coming, like people that come to me are already like a lot of times open-minded.
Yeah, but that's why I stated the question, because it's pretty easy to preach to our own choir, or people who are already on the way. But I think the real challenge is reaching those people who are still heavily into that conditioning. How do we reach those?
No, well,
should we even try? That's maybe also a question that comes to mind.
That's a really good question, but I share in the moment what I want to share on different levels, and I feel like I did it, and I think when you just wake up, you want to tell everybody, like, "Hey, this is," and then a lot of times it's too much for people. And at one point, you just share it. The right people come to you. If they want advice, help, I'm here. Help, support, advice, I'm here. But a lot of times it's like we also have to let that go because they wake up in their own time, in their own way.
Oh yes.
And because otherwise it's like almost like a push and pull, and then they go even further away, and it's like
I can actually confirm that because I've researched that too. It's like we have the knowledge in that sense that we do deconditioning. People who are grew up in a cult or something like that, they have to be deprogrammed. And if you listen to the people who are specialized in this, they always say, don't confront them with the so-called truth, because you push them deeper into their conditioning. You actually show them the villain and stuff that they've been conditioned to see. The only way to do it, according to them at least, is to show them the conditioning and then leave them be. So don't show them the so-called truths or the facts, because that will push them deeper. You acknowledge that you're the enemy, the crazy one, or whatever. But if you can show them the conditioning in a sense like, what do you think about people influencing you in such a way that you would think of a hammer without even realizing it? Like the example I gave you last time. That seems to be working pretty well. I've tried it in my own surroundings a few times. Like the people that where they would say, "Don't talk to him; he will not believe you," and I would just say, like, I think that I just gave as an example, and you could see their head grinding, and then I just leave them be. I don't even answer questions anymore. It's like an old saying that a Muslim friend of mine once told me: if somebody is thirsty, never give them the bottle. Give them a sip, and if they're really thirsty, they will come back to you. And then still don't give them a bottle, give them the glass. Like so. But yeah, you also said that, like, they need to develop this in their own time, and people try to push them, like, hey, watch this video, read this book, watch this guy. It doesn't work like that. I think for everybody, among us even, it's a process. It started like 50 years ago, and I got a layer of awareness, and then I thought for a year, oh, this is it, and then you find a new layer and a new layer and a new layer and a new rabbit hole, and that's why I also said, like, but I think it's true now. It might not be true in a year or so. I'm still open to that because I don't know shit. I'm finding out. Yeah, we're finding out, and the moment I say I know, I cannot look anymore. That's the moment where my mind narrows it down to that, and it gives me these shades, and I will not be able to see anything else anymore. It's what we see happening all around us. We start to have discussions instead of dialogue. So I don't know anything.
I like the saying, if you don't think you'll be mind controlled and brainwashed, that means
you probably are. Yeah, precies. Exactly.
Yeah, so it's actually, but it's funny, like there's so much programming, so much put money in it, so much fact checking and saying this information and it's still coming out. It's still, it's like, it's not working anymore. It's still coming out.
So the only thing that you know for sure is we've all been heavily conditioned. And I think that's why we should start to look at ourselves. What is this thought all telling me? Does that adhere with what I'm seeing? Does it confirm what I'm seeing, or is it different? What does my feeling tell me about it? I mean, we also have an inherent feeling and intuition and of good and bad. Everybody knows that killing something, that's not really good. It gives you a really bad feeling inside if you're connected to it.
Yeah,
so
and
just by observing yourself.
And then you can't even imagine doing that. So I'm like, how can people do that actually?
If you're broken.
Yeah, of course.
And a lot of people are broken on purpose. We know that. Yeah.
But it's like, then it's really sad, like that people like have that, like that is so difficult also for you. Like people that have actual good intentions, they think they're doing something good.
Yeah.
That's why it's so
used for
difficult.
bad actions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that used to make me very sad. But
Yeah.
this awareness also makes it for me that I keep, no, this is my brother and sister who didn't have the blessing to wake up. Because that's how I look at it. It's a fucking blessing. There is no book, there's no teacher telling me this. And you're actually swimming against the stream when you're researching all these things. So how amazing is it that so many people are on the same road? That years ago, that told me that I'm onto something here, because I meet people from all over the world, and they're on the same road, but everybody's telling you not to go there. There must be something to be found there. Huh? That only strengthened my resolve to keep looking. So yeah, and that's the amazing thing that we humans are. It's like, no matter in what totalitarian system that we grow up in, we all want to be good. There's always people popping up. Yeah, but I just want to love and be loved, and I want to do good things. Yeah, but it's stupid, and you need to make money. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. I don't want to be a good person. Yeah, and that's the real human trait. I think that's the thing that I just cannot weed out. They tried for many times, but that's our divine spark, I would say. Yeah, that's what we just need to reconnect with. And
we're with so many more people that like we're not alone, and you're not alone, and there are millions everywhere. So many people from all over the world.
Compare it to 20 years ago, and then you would maybe meet once or twice a year somebody like that. And now I can meet people every day. We are also on this road. So yeah, we're growing quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Definitely, it's. But
we're
still,
more amazing.
sometimes
We're more amazing than the news and the people would let us know about. And I realized that long time ago, because if you believe the news, somebody would be blowing up themselves or poisoning people all over the place every day, in every city and every town, because people are crazy if you believe the news. No, it's once every, they get people so fucked up that they do such a thing. So the real miracle is that it's not happening all over the place. They try to tell us, they try to program us with all these television shows, and Walking Dead is a good example of it. That's actually programming people to kill each other for the last tin of pineapple or whatever they can find. Well, everybody knows who is as a decent human being. You need to share stuff, because to survive, we need each other. You don't survive the desert all by yourself. You will die before you even go half the distance. And so, yeah, just listen to yourself. The gut feeling is there. This book of the human knowledge, it's all there.
Yeah,
and quiet your mind.
And then you like, and that's so beautiful. And then you find more people along that path, and then it's like such a recognition, and it's like really beautiful. And and then you can like talk about your whole, like the whole spectrum, and it's like nothing is off the table, like full
Not
honesty,
really.
integrity, being yourself, and that is really beautiful. But a lot of times you first have to find yourself, and then be yourself, and then you find the others.
Yeah, well, in finding yourself, you will also lose a lot of people. I think people should be aware of that. But I think if you cannot be yourself around people, are these people even your friends? I mean, the most even people that I haven't met before, I will probably never meet again. You can be a very normal, you can have very great conversations with these people. You're on the same level. You're a human being. What else do we need in common? But we have this amazing experience we call life. I'm grateful every day I open my eyes.
Yeah,
So why make so much trouble? We're finding out. It's an amazing time. I become my own discovery channel, you know? Some guy always says truth is stranger than fiction. It's fucking true, man. I don't need television shows telling me all these weird fantasies. They're finding out this reality. That's the biggest science fiction movie ever. And I get to be in there. What the fuck?
Dystopian
yeah.
reality.
But also the amazing things. I mean, when the sun shines and I hear these birds whistling and feel the warmth of the sun on my face. That's an amazing moment. It's all good. But yeah, don't watch too much television. If you're going back to the topic, I think one of the biggest things that I did, the waking up was a process, but I think 8 or 9 years ago, I cut down my television. It's only a screen for me now. You can see plants in front of it. I don't even watch it anymore. I think that's a big one to unplug. Don't watch the news. Don't read the newspapers. And you will see a shift in a few months even. You start to look at these things differently. It's all a fucking show. They're trying to influence the way you see it, the way you look at things. And the moment you detach yourself from there, you don't need people like us to tell you what to see. You will see it for yourself.
Yeah.
I will also want to make these podcasts.
Because then when you want to share like, hey, life can be different. Life can be a totally different experience.
Life is amazing.
Yeah.
Just put your attention on your own surroundings. That's why you can make the difference.
That was beautiful. Let's wrap it up. So
yeah, we could talk for this topic for hours, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
It's been fun to do it with the two of us this time. It's a more
yeah, thank you. Thank you too.
Nice conversation.
Thank you everybody who was here. If you want to find out more about us, I will put the links underneath. I myself do a lot of talks, podcasts, videos, but also yoga, meditation, coaching, and energy healing courses. I like spread seeds of love, freedom, truth, and joy. That's what I really want to bring. Like have fun in this life.
Yeah.
And this was a lot of was really interesting. So thank you.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, maybe you want to say a bit about you as well.
Yeah, well, I will say the same thing I said last time. I'm Guillaume. I'm just finding out. I'm a philosopher, the true meaning of the word, and it means love for truth. If you want to know, if you want to have a conversation, I'm always open to that. I always want to see new insights. So feel free to reach out to me.
Yes, to me also. And thank you, everybody, and wishing you lots of love.
To be continued.